Hello, welcome to my first theatre sketchbook tour. I've written myself a bit of a script for this video because without a script I reckon I'd just ramble for hours on end, which is fun for me, but it might not be fun for anyone watching this. So to give some context to this little sketchbook here, I started sketching stages when I saw Next to Normal for the second time last year, and I thought it was a fun idea. I'd been too nervous to actually do it up to that point, but after a while I got over myself and just tried sketching like theatres and stages, and I decided I liked it. So it helps me to get out of my own head before a show and pay attention to the stage rather than like my phone or anything. And it's hopefully improving my understanding of perspective and like actually how depth works in drawing. So what actually happened in terms of getting this sketchbook is I filled my pocket sketchbook on the train to London one time, and I thought to myself, oh no, I'll have to buy a new one, what a shame. So I went into the Cass shop by the National Portrait Gallery, which is basically opposite the Garrick Theatre, like by Trafalgar Square, National Portrait Gallery, yeah. And so I bought 3 sketchbooks like this, like sort of thin, quite cheap, and I just thought it would be something quick for rough sketches and like nothing too formal. But then I thought it would be fun to ask performers to sign my sketch if I stage door, so it's a fun thing for me to look back on and sometimes to talk about with performers and other people waiting at the stage door, because I always feel very awkward in that situation. Like, I don't necessarily like approaching people directly, but I'm very happy to have a chat with anyone who's willing to stay and chat. But I'm just so awkward about starting conversations. It basically consists of me going, I don't really get it, can you say anything please? But I'm getting better, which is nice, and I've had some really nice stage door experiences, especially more recently. So these stickers on the front of the sketchbook, I'm gonna tell you where I got them from, or like the shops that I got them from. So these quotes, so there's a Hadestown one, a Cabaret one, and Next to Normal, which are my 3 favourite musicals. Those ones are from Letters to July. It's what the shop's called. I've got quite a few of these little stickers. I just think they're really cool. This one is probably my favourite sticker because the person who makes them I met when I went to see The Great Gatsby at the stage door, and then she just gave me the sticker that she was taking photos of. I was like, oh, I was gonna buy those stickers. Like, I sort of saw the sticker, recognized that it was one that I'd seen online and almost bought, and then was like, oh my god, it's you make those stickers. So yeah, that was really cute, and that's what made me decide to decorate the front. So that's Stagey Corner, or Stagey Rebecca is the social media accounts. And yeah, I want to buy more of these because she has loads of different like theatre stickers, including ones that are a bit more local to me, which is really cool. Yeah, and this one is, I don't know how to say it, but it's Oku Poku, this little dinosaur thing. I don't know, this probably has a proper pronunciation. I'll try and put as it's spelt on the screen, and hopefully that'll make more sense. And then these little ones, like the crystals and little mushrooms, they're from Georgie Sutton Art. Yeah, they're really cute. They're not theatre related specifically, any of those, but I just thought they were cute. And then this one is, I made this one. It's Mason Alexander Park's MC specifically. I did a little sketch of their like Western live performance, and it's gonna come up a lot. This character, this performance, this performer just in a lot of my sketchbooks. It's just going to come up a lot. So yeah, let's begin. I'm just going to check that my phone is still filming. So first one is the Hadestown at the Lyric Theatre. So I'm not going to name like all of the performers that have signed the sketch, but I will try and put their names on screen next to like where they've signed because I think it's fun. So this was my 4th time seeing the show, and I saw it for the first time last year, like in sort of March time, and then I went 3 times to see Rachel Tucker as Persephone because she was a bit of a like dream cast that I had, and it actually came true, so that was very exciting, and she was very good. Like, just, so obsessed. And then also Trevor Dion Nicholas was Hades, and that has a nice little link to Next to Normal, which, again, one of my favourite shows, someone from one of my favourite shows in another one of my favourite shows, which is very exciting for me. And he was like a very different Hades to what I'd really expected. And then I also saw Christopher Short as Hades twice, who was also incredible in a very different way. And the first time I saw Rachel Tucker and Trevor Dion Nicholas was their first show, because I was so excited about seeing them. I was like, gotta be there. So I went, and then also Melanie Labarrie as Hermes just makes the show for me. Like the 4 times that I've seen it, I saw her as Hermes, and just incredible every single time, and I'm almost nervous to see the show without her in it. I am really desperate to see the new cast though, because they look incredible. And then I've got this other sketch of from The Interval, so you've got the little microphone bit there. That is what Persephone uses in Our Lady of the Underground. They put it there before the second half. Might as well have kept it this way around, because next up is 6 at Chichester Festival Theatre. Just checking that that's in view. So I saw the tour and the tour cast in Chichester, which was a very unique view of the show because it's from like the side. So I don't know if you can see, this is sort of round the edge, and then this is the stage itself. So it's on all 3 sides. Yeah, a really unique view of the show, and like Chichester Festival Theatre is one of the few theatres I've noticed that get some tours coming in while also having such a unique stage layout, and I guess it keeps it quite interesting for the cast. Like with something like 6, where they get to interact with the audience a bit, you've got different places to look. I don't know, I feel like it'll be fun. Next up, we have Much Ado About Nothing at Theatre Royal Drury Lane. One day I'll work out how to talk on camera, and it will be a very powerful day. So I really loved this show, like really loved it. I know people have mixed feelings on Jamie Lloyd as a director, and I saw his production of The Tempest as well in the same theatre, and I really enjoyed that. But yeah, Tom Hiddleston and Hayley Atwell as Beatrice and Benedict, other way around as when I said them. But anyway, they were such a great duo, and it was really nice to see cast who were in The Tempest as well, because there were people who were in both shows, but they played insanely different characters, which is really exciting to see as someone who gets a bit excited seeing like the same people in different stuff. And obviously, going back to the sticker on the front, Mason Alexander Park was definitely a highlight for me in this show, as they are in everything I've seen them in, and I'm such a fan of theirs, and I will basically go see anything because they're in it. And that started with Cabaret, which I'm still very obsessed with, and that's going to come up later. Next we have The Merchant of Venice, which I saw at Fareham Live, which is kind of quite a small space, and it was a really interesting reinterpretation of this play. So like, when I say it's a small space, it's not small, just relative to that, it's small. But yeah, Merchant of Venice is a reinterpretation Oh, it's not Merchant of Venice, it's Merchant of Venice 1936. So it's Merchant of Venice, but set in 1936. And I haven't read the original play, but the way that I understand the original play, like, characterizes certain people versus how they characterize them in this, was really interesting, and I really loved it. So this is for Backstroke at the Don Mar warehouse, and these sketches are rough because, again, it's on 3 sides, and I was sat at like one of the sides rather than the sort of front view, and I guess it doesn't have boxy kind of perspective to like easily grasp what the stuff is. I don't know how to phrase this. I've gone a bit off script. Basically, it was difficult to draw because there was no like reference around it as to how big it was all meant to be relative to each other. That's kind of a good way to describe it. But this was a hospital bed, and there was like a table and some chairs, and then I tried to redraw the hospital bed in more detail and make it more clear, and it still wasn't clear. But yeah, I really love the Don Mar as a space. I love how like small and intimate it is, and Tamsin Greig especially, she was in this and she was incredible, and I felt like I was watching a real person, not like a character on stage who's an actor, and it persuaded me to go see The Deep Blue Sea, which Tamsin Greig was also in, but I've seen it more recently. That's not later in this sketchbook, that'll be in the next one, and she was brilliant in that as well. It's genuinely like forgot that I was watching an actor, which is really cool. And Celia Imrie was in that as well, and she was also great. And in contrast to Tamsin Greig's character, she was so like whimsical and like mad, and it was such a great contrast between the two of them as like a mother and daughter characters. And then for that specific performance, we also had a resident director cover a role, like partly script in hand. And you know, I love a unique performance, even if it's like slightly less polished than maybe Another Day would have been. I didn't like some of the choices the production used when it came to using a screen at the back of the stage. I could see what they were going for in terms of flashbacks and like things like that, but it didn't quite work for me. But overall, I did really enjoy it. And next up, we have Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. I love this show. Pardon me. This was the 6th time I've seen it, and this is the outside of the theatre. There's like a bench sort of really close to it, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do as I'm early? Just sit on the bench. But yeah, they said we couldn't take photos inside, but they didn't say I couldn't draw it. And yeah, this trip was on such like a whim. I got the train that was like an hour later than I would normally get when I'm going to London, and I'm insanely glad I went because I got to see the first show as the MC I got to see Ben Simon Wilson's first MC show. That's a better way of phrasing it. So they're the second cover for the role, and it was the first time they'd been on, and I found out on the train there. So I was already on my way when I found this out, and I was like, oh my god. And it was incredible, like truly amazing. Probably in my top 3 MCs, which out of 6 isn't saying a lot, but the like, so good. The order changes as to my favourite MCs. And then also I got to see Marisha Wallace as Sally, which again, incredible, love her. And I'm not going through every single person who signed it, obviously, but Fenton Gray, who plays Herr Schultz in the show, when he signed it, he was like, oh, did you do this during the show? I said, no, I did it beforehand. But then he was sort of like, oh, you did this during my scenes. And I was like, no, I love your scenes. I wouldn't just draw through them. So yeah, that was a funny little moment. And then we've got some more little detailed bits. And then we've got this little sketch of the National Theatre, because I went to see Alterations at the Littleton Theatre, which is in the national, like one of the 3 theatres they have at the National Theatre. And I bought these like crayon things, these little things in the same like Cass Art shop that I said about earlier. And the person there who was talking to me, who worked there, she said I looked like an interesting person, and I took it as a compliment, but was very awkward about it. I was just like, thank you. I guess I'm maybe interesting. I don't know. But anyway, that is irrelevant. I've done a better drawing of the National Theatre, of the outside of the National Theatre than this, or at least in my opinion it's better. But it's in a different sketchbook, so I'm not going to show that in this video. I've probably shown it in another one, but this is the one I've got right now. I felt really creative that day, which was nice. I think it's the first time I stayed in London and sat and like sketched after a show, which was really cute. And it's something I've done quite a lot since. So the play itself, Alterations, got to turn that round. I loved the set design and how real it felt, and then there was these bits of the show that felt really dreamlike, and they sort of pull in bit of the set that's like added onto the bit of set that was already there, and it became like a really floaty dream moment, and the like lighting changed, and like the detail of the show hasn't really stuck with me since then, but I did really enjoy it. And then please excuse me while I get a drink. I'm back. So next we have Kyoto at Soho Place. Like, I don't know, but whatever it's called, Kyoto is a really important play, and they have like such a unique way of getting people involved in it. So they have these conference seats, which is literally seats sat around the edge of the stage, which is used as the conference table. And it gave such a unique view of the action. And I even got to hold up this like sign mid-show. So like, is that my West End debut? I don't know. But like, I got to be part of the show, and so did many other people. Like, it's such an involving thing. And it's so, like, every seat in around that table has such a unique view of what's happening. It's really cool. And it's closed now, but if it ever does come back, I'd really recommend it. It's very powerful and kind of hard-hitting, but it doesn't lack hope, like when it comes to the idea of global warming, which is what it's about. It's like a climate conference. Yeah, would really recommend it. And next up, we have Hamilton at the Mayflower Theatre. I loved the show, and this is the first time I've seen it in person. I've seen the Disney Plus recording, but first time I've seen it for real, and I really get the hype. It's really good. I didn't like the person playing Hamilton and also the person playing Washington. They were covers, but like nothing against covers in particular. I didn't like these two people. But yeah, despite not liking those two, I loved the piece as a whole. Like, it was stunning. And Billy Nevers as Burr and Louis Maskell as King George were insane, so good. And yeah, no matter who is in the cast, I'd really recommend seeing this show. And the next thing I saw was The Great Gatsby at the Coliseum Theatre, I believe it's called, yes. I've got it written here. I didn't love this show as an adaptation of the book, but I thought it was such a like spectacle with some very impressive singing, and the singing is lovely, but it gets a bit dull when every song is like belting and riffing as impressively as possible. Like, it doesn't hit anymore. It's just kind of like, sure. But you know, it was visually stunning, and I thought the cast were really great. Especially Corbin Bleu, whatever. Think he signed it here. I met him at the stage door, and he was really good. And then I was like, afterwards I realized that he's the guy who plays like Chad in High School Musical, and I was like, oh, okay. How I knew he was in High School Musical, but I just hadn't clocked that it was him. But yeah, he was really good. And also Rachel Tucker, who I also met at the stage door, and love Rachel Tucker. She's so good, and she complimented my shirt, which was a very cool shirt. It's my favorite shirt, so I'm glad she liked it. And it was a very, very lovely stage door experience, I think, because I found someone to talk to, and that was Rebecca, who runs Stagey Corner, Stagey Rebecca on Instagram. That's the person that I said earlier, who does the like theatre stickers, and I was chatting to her for ages, and it was really nice. I'm not always very good at talking to people, but yeah, it was a very nice day. And we have Romeo and Juliet at the Royal Opera House, which was a bit of a bucket list moment for me to see a ballet in this place, like the Royal Opera House. Insane. But I grew up doing ballet classes and stuff, though I was never like particularly good at it or dedicated. I was good when I was little, but then I didn't really, my skill didn't grow as I grew because I didn't really work at it, but I still love it. And this is maybe one of my favourite sketches that I've done, because being far away from the stage kind of helps it be an interesting sketch. And also I got to work on it over 2 intervals because it's a ballet and it's long. So I had 2 intervals, which was really nice. And the dancing was just like gorgeous, stunning. I just love it. I never used to get ballet when I was younger, like watching full ballets. I was like, apparently when I was really little, I went to see the Sleeping Beauty at a local theatre, and I was like, when are they going to start talking? I just like really remember saying that. And obviously they don't start talking because it's a ballet. But this time I was like, oh, it's just stunning. And I think it helped that I reread Romeo and Juliet, the play, just before I went to see it. So I really got what was happening, which was nice. And I really loved the music. I mean, Prokofiev, I believe, is the person who composed it. Writes a great dramatic piece of music, like Dance of the Nights, or like the Apprentice theme tune, at least in the UK. I don't know if it's the same everywhere else. That piece of music, I just love it. And I'm determined to go see more ballet there now. Like, ballet. I like that I'm going to see a lot of, not just musicals at the moment, like I'm going to a range of things. Like, if I'm gonna spend my money on theatre, might as well be different theatre. So next up, here we are, again at the Littleton Theatre, and I'm getting to love the National Theatre, particularly this one, because it's the only one of their 3 theatres that I've currently been in. Although I am going to see Nye in a couple months, which is in the Olivier Theatre, I believe, which is very exciting. And I mean, if you're aged 16 to 25, I'd recommend looking into their 16 to 25 like ticket scheme thing, because you can get like £15 tickets, and a lot of theatres do that. So theatre going advice, if you're like under 30, a lot of theatres will be like, have cheap tickets, go. And then usually you just have to bring ID just in case they want to check it. Would recommend. But yeah, this show was wild. I just went back to see it again for the second time like a couple days ago, and I really enjoyed it again. But I was sat in like the 3rd to 5th row this time, and then this week when I went, I was sat at the back row of the circle, and it was still really good, and it was a still really good view. So back row of this theatre, also insane. And the whole cast was pretty iconic. For a wild show, you gotta have a cast doing wild things, especially the 2 cast members who play woman and man, so Tracy Bennett and Dennis O'Hare. And woman and man cover like a massive range of characters. And so these little sketches here, they're on stage before the show, and I did some little sketches of them, which is kind of cute. I also loved Jane Krakowski as Marianne, but everyone was brilliant in their own right. It's mad. If you ever get a chance to see it, would do. Please go. need a break. Back. So, Anna Lapwood at the Royal Albert Hall. This was maybe one of the most epic and magical evenings of my entire life so far, and I really won't lie, like, genuinely insane. I never thought I'd be going to an organist concert, but I'm very glad I did. And I thought maybe I could be chill about it. Going into the first piece, I was like, I'll be fine. But the second, I'm not joking when I say the second the first piece started, I like burst into tears. I was like, oh, it's just so good. I can't pronounce the name of the piece, but it's from, God, what's it called? Again, going off script. The Da Vinci Code, a piece from the Da Vinci Code. Anna Lapwood's one of Anna Lapwood's albums has it on there, and it's just awesome piece. I don't know about the film, I haven't seen it, but apparently it's not very good. And then the second encore that she did, No Time for Caution by Hans Zimmer from Interstellar, it just like blew my entire mind. It was awesome to see such powerful music come from like one single person with an entire audience of the Albert Hall, and also the orchestra that was sat for the rest of the show. They were just sat watching her play, and all of us, and it was just like dark, and then the lights just on the organ, and oh, magical. I'm obsessed. And this is a little sketch I did of the organ, because I was like, how can I go to this concert and not try and draw the organ? Really doesn't give it a sense of scale or anything, but I don't know, it was fun. And we have Pippin at the Theatre Royal Winchester. This one was a bit of a false start, because we got in like 5 minutes before the show was meant to start, so I didn't really have a chance to draw it. But yeah, full start. This one, slightly better. They had little balloons that spelled out Pippin, and I saw it twice, with 2 separate casts. This is a uni show. I'm a bit biased toward it because I know people in the cast. But one of the shows, they like let the balloons out the box and it was spelled out Pipney, not to expose anyone, but it was really funny because they just sort of switched it, and apparently it was a mistake. I thought it was just a little joke, but it was a mistake, and it was really funny, so it's cute. I didn't know the show going in, so it was really a wild ride, like truly unexpected. I just didn't know anything, and it was really great. And yeah, this is pre-show before the second show, so they didn't have the Pippin balloons out before the start. But yeah, really cool. And this is the curious case of Benjamin Button at the Ambassadors Theatre. And this is the second time I've seen this show, and I loved it even more the second time. And it's closing in October, so like I beg you all to go see it before then. Like if you can, please go see this show because it's amazing. And also the cast recording's been on repeat since it came out. It's one of the most beautiful musicals I've ever seen. I love it. And also it's an actor-musician show, and that just has like a special place in my heart instantly, because I'm a saxophone player and I'm also an actor. Not professionally thus far, but I am. But yeah, I love it. And all of the cast who I met, even the ones who didn't sign it because I was too awkward to ask them, they were all just so lovely. And the second cover Benjamin was on, and it was his second show, which was really cool. And then we're back at Cabaret, because I am predictable. So this was the 7th time I've seen this. And I had to catch Damon Gould's MC while I had the chance, as this was the week between cast changes, so Marisha Wallace and Billy Porter, and then Rob Madge and Hannah Dodd. There was a week between where it was the 2 first cover Sally and MCs that were on, and I had to go, and it was very worth it, because this MC was unlike anyone else I've seen. The way that Damon used movement and physicality and like dance added an extra layer to the role that just no one else has done, at least no one else that I've seen. And I loved seeing Anne-Marie, what, I don't know how to say her last name, I won't lie, but yeah, Anne-Marie Sally. I've seen her twice, and the first time round I loved it, so seeing her again was such a like treat. And she's the only Sally I've seen twice, so yeah, it was really nice. And that's both of them signed it there. I don't know, it's the only time I've had an MC and a Sally both like sign something, and it was really nice. And I believe that every single swing who works on the show was on that day, which is very exciting for someone like me who's just obsessed with everything. And yeah, I really like this sketch. The cabaret ones might be some of my favourite in here as well. And then I got some sketches of the prologue cast, who are like the pre-show cast, musicians and dancers. Really difficult to draw because they keep moving. Not surprising, but I thought it was a fun challenge. So we've got the saxophonist, or a saxophonist here, and then the violinist. And then just some attempts at drawing that you can't really tell what they are because I was trying to draw them really fast. And I was inspired to do this by someone called Leo the artist on Instagram. I'll put the name on like the screen if I can do that. And he goes to the show a lot and sketches the show a lot. And I just thought that was such a cool idea, but thus far I've been too scared to actually draw them from close up, so I was just sat in my seat in like the circle, sort of creeping, just drawing them from a distance. I feel like if you're gonna do it, you've got to be blatant about it. Yeah, they're incredible, the prologue cast and the main cast, the people who do the rest of the show. Every single person, just, I love this musical. And yeah, last show in here, this is the Chichester Festival Theatre and then the Minerva Theatre. I was sat outside between the two. I just thought I'd sketch it, and there's this statue, and I don't know who the statue is, but they were there. And yeah, I went to see The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry at the Minerva Theatre, which is a really small theatre, but like the Festival Theatre, it's got seats on or can have seats on 3 sides of the audience. I believe it's more flexible than that, so they can move it around, but I'm not sure, like, don't quote me on that. And I did not realise that this show had got to me so much until I started just sobbing at this scene at the end. And I really love when that happens because it just means you're so, for me, it mostly means I'm so invested in the show that I'm not thinking about what I'm feeling. I'm just with them, which, yeah, it's really cool. And it was lovely to see Jack Wolf perform again after seeing him in Next to Normal last year, because he's incredible in that, like, so good. If you have chance to see the pro shot of that, would highly recommend, because I haven't seen the pro shot, but I love that show so much. And I was also very excited to see Jenna Russell in this, as I wanted to see her in something since I watched the recording of Regent's Park production of Into the Woods. That was a lot of words. Regent's Park Open Air Theatre did Into the Woods, and they recorded it, and she plays the baker's wife in that, and I loved that performance. I just thought she was great. I won't go into it more than that. And I really hope this musical gets a further life beyond its run in Chichester, because it was really moving and reminded me a lot of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Like, there were some musicians on stage, and it was sort of a small scale story with lots of little characters that have their moment, and they just sort of, it weaves together, and it's really like, yeah, moving story. And it's also based on a book, which I now need to read. And then this is the last sketch in the sketchbook, and that is before Act 2 of the show. And there were some like barrels out, and then there were these barrels at the back, and I tried to get like a more zoomed out picture of the stage than I did for this one. And that's the end. It's really satisfying to me that I started this sketchbook on the 1st of February and finished it on the 31st of May. Like almost exactly half of this is just shows I saw in May. Like I saw this on the 1st, and then that is literally halfway through the sketchbook. So it's just May. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. So please let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these shows and what you thought of them, or even if you have ideas for other videos that I could do. And maybe like the video too, because I get excited if anyone does that, or don't. It's up to you. And I hope you liked that this video was more scripted, because as I say, I could go on for hours, and I think I'm not used to being in front of the camera. Like, I'm not in front of the camera, but I'm not used to talking and knowing that I'm being recorded. So I'm just trying out different ways of making videos and seeing what works for me. And I felt inspired to just randomly write a script. So I thought I'd do that. And yeah, hope you have a good day, or if you're not having a good day, hope you're having a good day tomorrow. Bye!